Archangel Michael says, "You keep ignoring this, and it's breaking heaven's heart. Your name is on a miracle scroll. Open this before midnight, or it will be erased." Heaven held its breath when your name was written. The sound of divine ink touching eternal parchment sand ripples through the corridors of light. Angels stood still, watching as the hand of the Almighty inscribed your destiny upon a miracle scroll, a record not of judgment, but of promise. It was a sacred moment, one that carried the fragrance of eternity and the weight of divine intention. Yet now, the glow around your name trembles, flickering as the clock of heaven strikes closer to midnight. The hour is not random. It is the final call for alignment, for remembrance, for obedience before the seal of heaven closes once more. Archangel Michael stands now as both witness and messenger. His voice is not thunder, but sorrow wrapped in mercy. He does not come to threaten, but to awaken, to call you back to the divine conversation you once had in the secret place of your soul. Heaven's heart is heavy, not with anger, but with longing for your return, for your attention, for your yes. Somewhere along the way, life grew loud and heaven grew distant. Yet your spirit knows this voice, the one that trembles with truth and calls your name from realms unseen. This message is not for everyone. It finds only those whose spirits have stirred in restless silence, those who have felt heaven tugging on their hearts without knowing why. If you are hearing this, it is because the scroll bearing your name has begun to fade, not from rejection, but from neglect. The ink of promise responds to faith, and faith has been waiting for your attention. Before midnight, heaven asks for one thing: stillness, a holy pause, the return of your focus. For in your stillness, the ink will begin to glow again. In your surrender, the promise will reawaken. Something written in heaven has begun to vanish, and it bears your name. But even now, the hand of mercy hovers, waiting for your response. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 717 is now activated over your scroll. Archangel Michael stands between heaven and earth, his sword sheathed in sorrow and light. The heavens above him tremble with expectancy, and the realms of the unseen hush in reverence, for a message of eternal significance has been released into time. Within hours, the scrolls will be sealed again, destinies confirmed, promises recorded, and divine decrees finalized. But one scroll, radiant yet dimming, bears a name the angels whisper in solemn tones: your name. The command has been issued from the Council of Light. Deliver this message before the midnight bell strikes. Heaven's heart does not break from anger. It breaks from silence. The silence of the chosen ones who have forgotten their sound. There are moments when creation itself listens for your voice, for the echo of your obedience, for the vibration of your yes, and when it does not come, the heavens ache. This is one of those moments. The stillness of eternity leans toward you now, longing for your awareness, your awakening, your return to the covenant written long before you entered this world. This message is not a coincidence. It did not appear in your path by algorithm or chance. It found you because your name still glows faintly on the heavenly page, awaiting your response. Heaven is searching for those who will listen beyond noise, beyond distraction, beyond delay. This is not merely a warning. It is an invitation, an opportunity wrapped in divine urgency. Archangel Michael speaks not to frighten you, but to remind you that divine timing is sacred, and this hour is one of them. Still your mind. Still your fears. Let silence be your sanctuary. For heaven speaks most clearly when earth grows quiet. You have wandered through storms, through noise, through nights of confusion and days of striving. But in this moment, you are being summoned back to alignment. Heaven calls your name not to condemn you, but to crown you again with purpose. The light of your scroll flickers, but it has not gone out. The ink is alive, and it waits for your awakening. The clock of heaven is moving, each second echoing like a heartbeat through eternity. The angels stand ready, holding the seals that will soon close upon the scrolls of destiny. Archangel Michael's wings stretch wide across dimensions, his voice thundering softly through the corridors of your soul. Do not scroll away. Do not turn aside. Do not delay. This message has crossed realms to reach you, and heaven watches to see if you will receive it. This is your sacred moment of recognition, a divine encounter clothed in human words. You are not hearing this by mistake. You are being summoned. Every sound, every syllable is carrying your name back toward the altar of remembrance. For when heaven calls, the wise do not hesitate. The faithful do not question. They listen and they answer. So pause. Breathe. Let your spirit respond. The messenger stands before you, sword lowered, waiting only for your yes. The hour is late, but mercy is near. The hand that wrote your name still hovers, ready to restore the glow of your destiny before the midnight gate closes. Type "I answer heaven's call" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 888 now surrounds your name in light. There has been a watching, a holy observation from realms unseen. Heaven has not been silent, though you may have thought it was. There are witnesses in the unseen, the same angels who inscribed your name onto the miracle scroll. They have stood in quiet reverence, whispering your name through the corridors of light, waiting for the moment you would awaken again. They have watched as you moved through days heavy with distraction and nights filled with unanswered questions, wondering if your heart would remember what your spirit already knew. Something sacred has been delayed, not because you are forgotten, but because heaven was waiting for your awareness to rise again. The angels have whispered. They must look up. They must feel it. But the noise of this world has grown louder. Louder than prayer, louder than remembrance. You have felt this tension, haven't you? That restlessness that won't leave, that invisible pull that no amount of work or distraction can silence. That was heaven tugging at your soul, reminding you that something divine has your name written upon it. The glow of your scroll did not from rejection, but from neglect. And neglect often disguises itself as busyness. You were never abandoned, only observed. For heaven wanted to see how you would respond when you felt distant, how you would seek when you could not hear, how you would believe when the light seemed far away. The angels who wrote your promise have been waiting, their hands hovering over your name, whispering your destiny into the winds of time. They have called out softly, but your world has drowned them out. They watched as you prayed and then doubted. They watched as your spirit stirred, only to be silenced by distraction. They watched as your heart reached toward God, but was pulled back by fear, hesitation, and fatigue. And yet, Even now, they are watching again, not in disappointment, but in hope. Because the moment this message reached you, the glow of your name began to flicker once more. You felt it deep inside, that rush, that recognition, that strange pull in your spirit that said, "This is for me." That is heaven's confirmation that your promise has not died. It is reawakening. But make no mistake, there are forces that delight in delay. There are voices that whisper to keep you too busy to notice the divine glow fading from your scroll. They distract, they numb, they occupy your time until you forget that eternity is watching. But heaven has broken the silence tonight. The divine alarm has sounded. You feel it, that invisible trembling in your spirit, the sense that heaven is closer than usual. That is not coincidence. That is a summons. Archangel Michael speaks through the veil, declaring that your spirit has been marked for reactivation. You have been chosen to remember, to stop running, to return to the altar of alignment where your promise still breathes. Heaven has watched your delay, but mercy has called for your name to be spoken once more. And so it is. Heaven waits not for your perfection, but for your permission. The moment you say yes, the fading stops. This is the moment between loss and restoration, between silence and sound, between delay and destiny. Heaven's gaze is fixed upon you now. What will your answer be? Type "I awaken now" in the comments if you received this message. Blessing code 777 is now surrounding your destiny scroll. If this word has stirred your spirit, then hear this next part as a divine opportunity, not an interruption. Every seed you sow into this mission helps heaven reach one more soul waiting for their awakening. The word does not stop with you. It flows through you like a river of living fire, carrying restoration to others whose scrolls have begun to fade. When you give, you become a vessel through which God's light moves. I hear the Spirit saying, "As you sow into light, I will pour out light upon your house." This is not charity, it is covenant. This channel is a flame upon the altar, and your offering is oil to keep it burning. Do this as a prophetic act, as an answer to heaven's call. Give through the super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and watch how your own atmosphere begins to shift. Blessing decree: those who give into light shall walk in it. Blessing code 999 is released upon every cheerful giver now. There is a war that most never see, yet all feel. It rages not in the air around you, but in the stillness between your breaths. The unseen clash between heaven's intention and the enemy's interference. The delay you've faced is not ordinary. It has been orchestrated, calculated, and fiercely maintained by powers that fear what would happen if you ever came into full alignment with your divine timeline. Archangel Michael stands now as the defender of divine schedules, the guardian of holy order, and the warrior of appointed times. His sword burns with the fire of divine justice, and its edge slices through the shadows that sought to obscure your purpose. Understand this. Your struggle has not been random. The confusion, the heaviness, the spiritual exhaustion you felt were not coincidences. They were coordinated attacks to dull your discernment, to blind your faith, to make you doubt the sacred promises inscribed beside your name. When heaven declared a calling over your life, the darkness responded with a countercommand: delay them, distract them, drain them. Every moment of hesitation, every wave of apathy, every whisper that said wait a little longer, Those were not thoughts, they were strategies. Yet heaven has sounded the alarm, and Michael has drawn near. The darker forces rejoice when you ignore divine timing. They celebrate your distractions because delay is their most subtle weapon. But heaven has sent reinforcement. Even now, Michael's army gathers, wings unfolding like thunderclouds of light, surrounding you in unseen defense. You are not being punished. You are being pursued by destiny. Every battle you face has been allowed not to destroy you, but to reveal you, to show heaven and earth what you carry. You are a vessel of promise, and the moment you awaken, the war shifts. Heaven watches, not to test your worth, but to measure your response. Every whisper of hesitation is heard. Every act of obedience echoes in eternity. When you obey, heaven moves. When you delay, the scroll dims. But understand, heaven is patient, not passive. It waits not for perfection, but for participation. The war for your destiny ends the moment you say, "I will not delay any longer." For in that moment, the interference collapses, and the angels move unhindered. Archangel Michael fights not because heaven doubts your strength, but because heaven believes in your calling. You are never meant to carry this war alone. The moment you yield, you allow heaven's armies to take their rightful position beside you. You are covered, defended, and surrounded. The darker forces cannot win against a surrendered heart. There is a reason you have felt the tension so deeply, because your life is tied to divine timing. And when timing is disrupted, the entire sequence of blessing trembles. But tonight, heaven realigns what was shifted. The enemy delayed, but could not deny. What was interfered with is now being restored. The delay ends when your decision begins. So rise in awareness. Stand in stillness. Speak your yes with authority. The same Michael who guards the gates of heaven now guards your divine schedule. The war for your obedience is ending, and the victory of your timeline has begun. Heaven has recorded this moment, marking it as the turning point where warfare becomes witness. You are no longer trapped in delay. You are stepping into divine rhythm. Heaven has intervened, and your name glows brighter on the scroll once more. Type "I stand with heaven" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now surrounding your divine timing and purpose. The hour has grown heavy. The air in the spirit feels different now, charged with a holy electricity as heaven leans closer. The scroll that bears your name glows faintly before the throne, its light trembling like a candle in the wind. Each passing moment, each hesitation, each delay causes the glow to weaken. Heaven waits in silence, and even the angels hold their breath. Before midnight, your name will either blaze or fade. The decree is written, the moment appointed. What heaven promised you still stands, but it demands your decision. Archangel Michael steps forward, his countenance like burning sapphire, his eyes filled not with wrath, but with deep, aching compassion. He has seen this before, the moment when divine opportunity meets human hesitation. He knows the cost of delay, the tragedy of a destiny dimmed by indecision. He speaks now through the veil, his voice echoing like thunder through eternity. Beloved, the time of waiting has ended. Heaven's hand cannot hold forever what earth refuses to claim. The words are both mercy and warning. You are standing in a sacred intersection between grace and closure. Do not mistake heaven's patience for permission to delay. Every second between now and midnight is sacred. Every heartbeat counts in the recording of your response. The light of your scroll pulses with each choice you make, to listen or to scroll away, to act or to ignore, to awaken or to sleep again. The divine hand hovers above your name, hesitating, waiting for your yes. For in heaven, obedience is the key that seals or releases a promise. Something profound is shifting in the unseen realm. Some scrolls have already been sealed in gold, promises activated, destinies release. Others have been erased by inaction, their light fading into silence because the call was unanswered. You are standing between these two outcomes. Heaven does not threaten, but it warns, for love's sake, not fear's. There is something written next to your name that only heaven knows, a line of divine script hidden until your obedience reveals it. The angels who record the moments of man are watching now. They are not spectators. They are scribes of eternity, witnesses of your turning point. What you do in this moment will echo across realms. Some will hear this message and dismiss it, claiming they will respond later. But heaven does not move in later. It moves in now. Delay is the language of doubt. Obedience is the sound of destiny. Archangel Michael declares, the scrolls will not remain open forever. Midnight draws near. His sword of light flashes across the veil, and you feel it, that divine stirring in your spirit, that sense that time itself is leaning toward you, urging you to act, to surrender, to believe again. This is not superstition. It is sacred timing. Before midnight, heaven will seal what you have answered. The scroll's flow will either expand into brilliance or dim into rest. But mercy still moves. Grace still speaks. Heaven still waits for your yes. You are not too late, but the window is closing. Let your response be written in light, not regret. You are being called to remember your divine agreement, to step into the promise heaven has already prepared. The hand of God has not withdrawn. It is extended, waiting for the one thing only you can give, your answer. Type ISAYY yes to heaven in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing Note 1212 now covers your timeline with holy fire and protection. Be still now, for the war around you is not yours to fight. Heaven does not ask for your noise, your panic, or your striving. It asks for your stillness. In this sacred quiet, Archangel Michael spreads his wings wide across your atmosphere, a covering of divine light that no shadow can pierce. The moment you cease struggling and choose surrender, the armies of heaven begin to move in your favor. When your hands release control, divine hands take command. This is not defeat. It is divine positioning. For obedience is not the loss of freedom. It is the doorway to power. Hear this truth. When heaven wars on your behalf, it does so in silence first. The greatest victories are birthed not in chaos, but in calm. The enemy wants your exhaustion. Heaven wants your attention. You cannot hear the whisper of God in the roar of your anxiety. That is why Archangel Michael says, "Be still, and I will fight for you." The darker forces that once surrounded your timeline tremble when you rest in faith, because your stillness becomes a weapon. Every moment of trust is a strike against the enemy's strategy. Every breath of peace is a declaration of war in the spirit. You are covered under Michael's wing, and that means no shadow can touch you. The enemies that once sought to delay your purpose are now restrained. They cannot follow you where obedience dwells. In stillness, heaven builds walls of fire around your life. You may not see them, but they see you, radiant, guarded, untouchable. The spiritual turbulence you felt lately has not been abandonment, it's been transition. The shaking was never meant to break you, but to awaken you. Heaven had to pull you away from noise so that you could hear the sound of divine strategy. Listen carefully now. Protection is not just defense. It is direction. Heaven hides those it is about to reveal. You have been hidden in seasons of silence, because exposure before preparation is destruction. Archangel Michael has been walking ahead of you, clearing the path you could not see. He has been battling unseen for promises you didn't even know were under attack. Every prayer you thought was unanswered was actually intercepted, rerouted, and guarded until the time was right. That time is now. Your obedience activates divine protection. Your surrender opens the gates of guidance. When you move in alignment, heaven moves with precision. You may have felt surrounded, but the truth is, the enemy was outnumbered. Heaven's army was stationed before the first strike ever reached your name. You are shielded in light, surrounded by fire, and sealed in divine purpose. No curse, no word, no plan of darkness can penetrate what heaven covers. So breathe. Be still. The Lord of hosts commands the battle now. Archangel Michael's wings cover you like armor. His sword stands guard at the threshold of your destiny. Heaven has surrounded you completely, before, behind, and within. Let peace become your warfare. Let faith become your fortress. You are protected, chosen, and watched over. No shadow will touch you while you wait. Heaven is near. You are not alone. The one who fights for you has never lost a battle, and he will not start with yours. Rest, for the war is already won in the spirit. Type "I am covered" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing node 1414 is now activated. Divine protection and holy rest are surrounding you. You are no longer who you were when heaven first wrote your name. The moment your spirit said yes, something in the unseen began to move. The darkness that once lingered behind you has lost its claim, and the fire of renewal has begun to spread within you. Archangel Michael now stands beside you not as a warning, but as a witness, watching the rise of someone heaven has been waiting for. You have crossed from delay into destiny, from fear into faith, from silence into sound. The heavens record, the scroll of your life now burns brighter than it has in years. You can feel it, can't you? That inner stirring, that quickening in your spirit. It is not emotion, it is activation. You have awakened. The ashes that once marked your sorrow have turned into oil, and the oil into flame. What was once lost in hesitation is now reborn in holy confidence. Archangel Michael whispers through the veil, "Stand tall, beloved, for the heavens have remembered your courage. You were never forgotten, only refined." Every battle, every heartbreak, every delay forged something within you that heaven could use. Now that you have obeyed, you have become the weapon heaven wields. This is your rising morn. The chains of confusion are breaking. The voices of doubt are silenced. The fog of delay clears before the dawn of divine empowerment. The one who once trembled at the thought of loss now stands as a pillar of light. You have been refined by obedience, purified like gold that endures the fire. Heaven did not want to destroy you in your delay. It wanted to strengthen you in your awakening. Every moment you chose to trust instead of panic became a seed of power, and now the harvest of that faith begins to bloom. Do you see it? Your wings unfolding in the Spirit, stretching into the fullness of who you were meant to be. The same fire that Michael carries now burns within you. You no longer walk merely as one who receives instruction. You walk as one who carries authority. The anointing that rested upon watchers and warriors now flows through your words, your presence, your prayers. Heaven's army recognizes your sound again. You are aligned, you are anointed, and you are armed. Hear this. What was once delayed is now reactivated. The divine plans that were suspended are breathing again. The visions that seemed too far are now within reach. Heaven has pressed the resume on your destiny. You have shifted timelines by obedience, changed spiritual seasons by saying yes. The sound of your awakening has rippled through realms. You have not simply been protected, you have been empowered. Now, stand boldly. Speak with faith. Move with conviction. For heaven's power flows through those who know who they are. You are a vessel of divine fire, a carrier of celestial authority, and your yes has made you unstoppable. You are not small. You are not forgotten. You are a reflection of divine power in human form. Archangel Michael has marked your spirit with the seal of the awakened, and the darkness knows it. Walk forward now, not as the one who fears, but as the one who commands. For your name is no longer fading. It is blazing. Type "I am awakened" in the comments if you received this message. Blessing code 2020 is now ignited over your calling and destiny. This was never punishment. It was an awakening. What you walked through was not a delay. It was a divine rehearsal for revelation. Archangel Michael now stands before the throne, your name illuminated on the miracle scroll once more, the ink blazing with celestial gold. Heaven's council has reconvened, and the report has been made. They have answered. They have awakened. They have remembered. What was once faint has now become fire, and your obedience has released a chain reaction in the spirit. Every closed door, every silent night, every unanswered prayer was preparing you for this revelation, that heaven was never punishing you. It was positioning you. Hear this clearly. You were being watched not as one under judgment, but as one being trained for authority. Heaven needed your attention before releasing what came next. The miracle scroll you bear is not merely a record of blessings. It is a divine assignment, a commission for the season. The ink on that scroll carries your next promotion in the spirit, your next level of influence, your next anointing of power. When you said yes, the seals broke and the words written beside your name began to shimmer in light. The angels read them aloud, and heaven rejoices. Archangel Michael declares, the test is ended, and the time of release has begun. Every moment of obedience, every whispered prayer, Every act of faith has become a living testimony before the courts of heaven. You are no longer being examined. You are being elevated. Your spirit has passed through the fire and emerged refined, shining, ready to carry the weight of what comes next. The silence you endured was heaven's way of sharpening your hearing. The waiting you hated was heaven's way of building your strength. What you thought was God's absence was actually his deep preparation. Now, revelation floods through you. Heaven's meaning unfolds. This trial was never about loss. It was about recognition. Heaven had to confirm who you truly are before releasing what belongs to you. The scroll you carry is alive. Its words shift when your heart aligns with divine timing. It glows brighter each time you choose faith over fear. And now, because you have awakened, the scroll of your destiny has been fully reactivated. The angels surrounding the throne lift their voices, singing your name into eternity. The fire of obedience has reignited your legacy. Before sunrise, you will feel it, a peace that surpasses understanding, a stillness that vibrates with heavenly authority. That is the sign of divine completion. It means your yes was heard. It means the scroll glows again. Heaven has recorded it, sealed it, and sent it forth. Your obedience has altered timelines. Your awakening has drawn heaven's gaze, and your name shines brighter than before. What you carry now is not a reminder of your struggle, but a revelation of your purpose. Heaven's light moves through you as through a vessel chosen for this exact time. You are walking proof that even when promises fade, God never forgets the ink of destiny. The scroll glows, and so do you. Type "My scroll glows again" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing Node 2323 is now activated upon your revelation and divine promotion. As the revelation of your destiny unfolds, remember, this message doesn't stop here. Every time you help us spread this divine word, you become a vessel heaven uses to reach others whose scrolls are fading in silence. I hear the Spirit saying, "What you make possible for others, I will make manifest for you." When you pour oil into this ministry, it becomes the flame that lights another soul's awakening. The seeds you sow here return as multiplied grace in your own life. This is not a request. It's an invitation into divine partnership. Let your giving be prophetic, a declaration that you believe in what heaven is doing through this message. Stand with us through Super Thanks, channel membership, or the PayPal link in the description and release heaven's abundance back over your life. Blessing decree: those who sow into revelation will walk in revelation. Blessing code 555 is now released upon every giver. The time for revelation has passed. Now comes activation. Heaven is not just speaking over you, it is moving through you. Archangel Michael stands once again before the throne, raising the scroll that bears your name, now glowing with living fire. The decree has been signed in light. Your destiny is no longer pending. It is active. The waiting is over. The silence has broken, and heaven's movement has begun to unfold in your favor. You have crossed the line from promise into performance, from vision into manifestation. Now is the hour to speak aloud. I answer heaven's call. Your voice is a key. Every word you release in faith turns spiritual locks that have kept your blessings confined. The scroll responds to sound. It awakens when you declare alignment. Do not let your fear silence your activation. Speak your yes before midnight, for your obedience echoes louder than any prayer. Heaven does not respond to emotion. It responds to authority. And when you speak in alignment with divine will, all creation bends toward you in obedience. This is your miracle moment, the one heaven wrote into your timeline before you were ever born. Everything that delayed you, everything that confused you, everything that broke you, it was all building to this moment of activation. You were not waiting for heaven. Heaven was waiting for you to step into your identity as one who commands divine timing through faith. Heaven moves when you do. The light of your scroll expands as you take action. Every step you take in obedience is a signal to heaven's armies to proceed. Every declaration of faith releases new pathways of favor, acceleration, and opportunity. Archangel Michael now releases this decree. The time of slumber is over. The chosen rise. You have been granted permission to move forward without hesitation. The doors that once resisted you will now open at your approach. The atmosphere around you shifts as your voice realigns with divine frequency. What was once locked will now yield. The gates that seemed impenetrable will tremble at your command. For when a vessel of destiny speaks in faith, even heaven adjusts its rhythm. This activation is not a single moment. It is a movement. The anointing upon you will multiply as you act. When you walk in obedience, heaven writes new chapters on your scroll. You are co-authoring your story with God Himself. Every step of faith becomes ink. Every act of courage becomes scripture written in eternity. Your destiny is not distant. It is alive within you. You are no longer asking heaven to move. You are the movement heaven is releasing into the earth. This is your awakening in full motion. You are not the same person who once doubted. You are a vessel of divine command, carrying authority wrapped in humility, fire wrapped in faith. The light that once surrounded you now radiates from you. You are both the message and the messenger. You have shifted from waiting to walking, from believing to becoming. Now declare it aloud, and let the heavens record it. I move with heaven. I act with heaven. I align with heaven. The miracle scroll shines, and your name burns brighter with every word. The angels rejoice, and the gates of destiny swing open wide. You are no longer approaching your purpose. You are living it. Type I am activated in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson Ode 3030 is now released. Acceleration and divine fulfillment flow toward you without delay. Now that you have spoken your yes, something begins to stir in the unseen. A sacred transaction, silent yet thunderous in its effect. While your world sleeps, heaven awakens around your name. The scroll bearing your destiny is lifted once more before the throne, and Archangel Michael stands in holy reverence, holding it like fire cupped in his hands. He presents it not as parchment, but as proof of obedience, proof of faith, proof of surrender. The moment you said yes, a divine exchange began, a transfer of authority and blessing from heaven's vault to your life on earth. It happens without noise, without spectacle, but with power so immense that the very fabric of creation shifts to accommodate it. In this silent exchange, heaven rewrites your story. What was fading is restored. What was delayed is delivered. The ink of mercy runs over old mistakes, washing away every trace of hesitation, every remnant of regret. The scroll glows brighter, infused with new assignments, new grace, new covering. Archangel Michael's wings arch wide over the altar, shielding the exchange from every watching shadow. He declares with authority, "This one has answered. This one is sealed." And with that decree, heaven's approval falls like rain, soaking every area of your life that once felt barren. This is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual transaction, a moment where heaven invests its power into your timeline. Every tear you shed became ink in the rewriting of your purpose. Every unanswered question became a sentence of revelation. Every painful silence became the rhythm for a new divine song written over your life. The angels assigned to your journey take their positions again, no longer idle, no longer waiting. The sound of their movement fills eternity, a rush of wings and worship, signaling that one of heaven's chosen has reawakened. You will feel it in ways your mind cannot explain. The air around you will carry peace. The heaviness that once followed you will lift without warning. The confusion that clouded your thoughts will dissolve into clarity. This is the evidence of the exchange, heaven's answer manifesting through atmosphere. God's voice doesn't always thunder. Sometimes it rests as stillness that hums with new strength. That is what is happening now. The stillness you feel is not emptiness. It is completion. The transaction is done. The scroll has been rewritten, sealed in light, and sent back into your timeline. In this moment, you are being rewritten in the spirit. Your identity, your authority, your path, all recalibrated to divine frequency. The past no longer dictates your direction. Heaven's ink is indelible. It erases without trace and writes without error. You have become the living proof that restoration is not about going back. It is about rising higher. Archangel Michael steps back, his wings folding as a sign of completion. The transaction is sealed. The scroll glows with radiant finality, your name burning like a jewel in the center of its light. Heaven watches you now not as one being tested, but as one being trusted. Nothing has been lost. Everything has been rewritten. The exchange is done. The covenant stands. You may not hear it, but heaven is applauding. Type "I receive the divine exchange" in the comments if you feel this truth in your spirit. Blessing code 4141 now surrounds your scroll with completion, restoration, and divine rewriting. Heaven has moved. The exchange has been sealed, and now divine justice awakens. The scales that once seemed unbalanced are being set right by the hand of the Almighty. The courtroom of heaven convenes in silence, and the voice of the Lord echoes like thunder through eternity. What was done shall be restored. What was delayed shall be accelerated. What was silenced shall now sing. The decree of reversal has been issued, and Archangel Michael stands as enforcer of that divine judgment. He raises his flaming sword, and the light of it cuts through the residue of every wrong that dared to cling to your name. Every injustice you endured, every betrayal you faced, every disappointment that tried to bury you, heaven has kept the record. None of it was ignored. Every wound has been weighed, every tear counted. The time of reckoning has come. Heaven's justice is not revenge, it is restoration wrapped in righteousness. It does not simply return what was taken, It multiplies it. It turns graves into gardens, losses into legacies, and sorrow into sacred strength. You are standing now in the moment where divine balance meets divine mercy. A reversal has begun. Archangel Michael's voice carries through realms unseen, commanding angels of recompense to move swiftly. Their wings shimmer like gold dust as they descend into your timeline, carrying with them the blessings that were intercepted, the answers that were delayed, the favor that was withheld. The enemy thought he had buried your potential, but heaven calls it seed, and now that seed breaks forth with resurrection power. The years that were stolen are being repaid in moments of divine acceleration. Every door that closed without reason is swinging open with purpose. Every no that once broke your heart is transforming into a yes that will rebuild your destiny. Heaven's fairness is perfect. God does not forget the quiet endurance of the faithful. Every act of obedience you sowed in silence has been gathered into a harvest of abundance. What looked like loss was a divine setup for multiplication. The very places of your greatest pain are becoming platforms of testimony. You will stand and declare, "He restored me beyond what I imagined." For heaven never erases what was written in truth. It amplifies it. The erased lines on your scroll have now been rewritten, not in fading ink, but in radiant light. This is the law of reversal. Where the enemy intended delay, God now releases acceleration. Where you were silenced, your voice now carries the sound of divine authority. Where you were overlooked, heaven has crowned you with favor that cannot be denied. You will not return to where you were. You will rise higher than before. The Spirit of God says, the balance has shifted. The gavel has fallen. Favor finds you again. Your restoration is not symbolic, it is tangible. You will see doors open, relationships heal, opportunities align, and strength return. This is not a hope, it is a heavenly verdict. Archangel Michael stands as witness, and the scroll that bears your name now glows with the seal of divine justice. Heaven has spoken, and nothing can reverse what has been decreed. The days of loss are over. The season of reversal has begun. Walk in it with gratitude and boldness, for heaven's justice has remembered you. Type divine justice is mine in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 5151 is now released. Restoration, reversal, and righteousness are aligning in your favor. You answered before midnight, and heaven heard. The scroll that once dimmed now blazes with brilliance, your name written in lines of eternal light. The angels rejoice, and Archangel Michael bows before the throne, holding your scroll aloft as incense rises from it, the fragrance of obedience, the scent of faith fulfilled. The courts of heaven declare your case closed, your destiny confirmed, your purpose sealed. Heaven's record now reads, they have answered. They have aligned. They have been restored. You have crossed through delay, through silence, through testing, and emerged as one reborn in divine fire. Heaven now sees you not as one searching for favor, but as one who carries it. The spiritual handwriting beside your name glows brighter than ever before, etched into eternity as a testament of victory. You are sealed, seen, and sent. The same archangel who once stood in sorrow now stands in celebration, his wings unfurled around you as a mantle of protection, and power. This is your divine closure, your heavenly affirmation. The storm is over. The test is completed. The scroll is sealed in light. Walk forward knowing that your obedience has opened where hesitation once closed. Every moment of surrender has been recorded as worship. Every step you take from this day forward echoes through eternity as the sound of a destiny redeemed. You are not who you were. You are who heaven has always known you to be. So receive this final decree. You are covered by Michael's wings, guided by divine wisdom, and surrounded by favor that does not fade. You are a living testament that heaven's heart can be healed by one soul's obedience. The miracle scroll has been restored, and your name, yes, your name, shines like the morning star before the throne of God. Walk in peace, beloved. Your story is secure. Your promise is protected. Your path is lit by the glory of divine remembrance. Type "I am sealed in light" in the comments if you receive this final word. Blessing code 7777 is now active. Completion, fulfillment, and divine sealing surround your destiny. As this message closes, let your heart stay open to what heaven is doing through this very moment. Every time you give, you help carry God's word into more souls whose names wait faintly on forgotten scrolls. I hear the Spirit saying, "What you release from your hand, I will return as heavenly oil upon your house." When you support this channel, through super thanks, channel membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content, you are fueling prophecy. You are pouring oil into the flame that keeps heaven's voice alive across the earth. Let your giving be a declaration, "I stand with heaven's message." Do it not as a donation, but as a prophetic act of faith. The harvest that follows will not delay. It will multiply. Blessing decree. Those who sustain the light shall never walk in darkness. Blessing code 8080 is now released upon every giver who answers heaven's call.